Hey, so working on the song here, and I've got the basic like flow here. It's finally become time to drop the reference track. So I've gotten rid of that, and really, ultimately, the reason why is because I knew that I wanted the beginning to sound a little bit different. So my intro is now a little bit shorter, kind of jumps right into it. So I'll play it, just a real quick intro, and then boom, that's where the lyrics are going to begin once I get some lyrics. So I had to drop the reference and I shortened the intro on my arrangement structure here, and I, kind of shifted things over. Um, Previously I thought, well, now I'm at a pretty good stage where I'm going to start mixing this beat and this pattern a little bit more as I search for vocals. But I've decided to, before I really go that route, I wanted to perfect a couple of things. Um, and because when you step away for a little bit, you gain some objectivity. So one of the things that was contributed by my awesome daughters was the idea of like these claps and these little moments. um, Now some of that stuff is remaining the same, but then there's some other things like right here. This is what used to be some claps. Just play it for you. I switched it to woodblock, fully knowing that later on I'm just going to drown those out in reverb and really compress them and bring them out and like just make that reverb like fill up the room, so to speak, like it had done in my reference track. So I had to change a couple of those things, change the intro a little bit. Now I'm going to work on very specific things that I'm really going to layer some particular sounds. So I originally had this kick sample, and I'm sticking with it, but I'm layering on top of it a synthetic synthesizer. So that was a real kick drum sample taken from a sample pack, and this is synthetically created bass. It's obviously got a little bit more of that electronic sort of synthesized snappiness, but when we put them together, I get something real nice, I think. So it's like this solid collaboration between like the authenticity and integrity of a real kick drum, and in all the glorious things that come with these awesome synthesized sounds. So trying to find a nice balance. Now I'm still gonna mix more, right? But I'm doing a general mix as I'm layering these sounds now. So those kicks are kind of mixed in relation to one another at least. And we'll address some more of that stuff after a little while, creating groups and grouping things together. So like if the two kicked sounds are now melded well together, we should be able to move the faders together as well. And I'll get to that stuff. But big time things that I wanted to change was the kick and the snare, and really melt some things together. So here's my two kick drum. Well, here's the original kick drum or snare, and the newer one has a little bit of a higher pitch. It's got a little bit more rattle and sustain sort of, or decay time to it. And when we put them together, it's real nice. So if we listen to the original drum beat with the original snare and the original kick, here it is. And then I'll add the other ones in. And add the hi-hat. All right, so that makes a big difference already, and I'm pretty happy with the way that sort of fits into the rest of the mix. I just wanted to show you those small steps that I've made so far to get an idea of why I'm doing those, specifically with kick and snare, because those are such colorful, layered sounds, especially with the kind of tune that I'm working with, and yourself as well. But I'm going to likely do this with several of my sounds. I've done it a little bit with, like here's a sound that I've done it with already. And then add that with. So what I want to do is just, I want to be able to, when I do get to the full-on mixing section, I want to be able to really fill up the stereo space. So I'm layering certain ones of these sounds, knowing that what I'm going to be able to do is when I pan them to a certain area of the stereo field, I'm going to be able to widen where they're at because I've got multiple versions of very similar sounds playing the exact same thing, essentially forming this bigger, wider, more colorful instrument. So that's really what I'm going for. So before I really start just doing the mixing stage, I'm going to add some layers and do some general mixing in relation to the individual element, right? So if I'm dealing with a kick drum, I'm layering the kick drum and then mixing all the kick drums together in relation to one another. If I'm working with pads, I'm going to layer a couple of pads now, and I'm going to mix them in relation to each other. So I think that's a good step to be at right now. And I think you would benefit from that also. More videos to come. I'll see you next time.